All right, this is Random Thoughts of Madmen. This is our first episode. We're just going to talk about random things. I'm Eric. This is Tristan, Dylan.
We can kind of start off with this is
Hold on, I got to plug us first. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at Madmen Random. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram are all Random Thoughts of Madmen. Did I miss any?
Twitter.
I got Twitter.
We
That
did
was
get Twitter
Madmen
in there.
Random. At Madmen Random. We're
well,
just going to.
I was gonna start by saying that your house is haunted, and
Yes.
this is true too because as we were recording last time, just for practice, if you listen to one of the pre-recordings, there's a voice in the background.
It's Bill. When we, like, sometimes you hear footsteps and stuff in the house, and like doors have shut. Not on me. The only thing I saw, I was downstairs once, and I was playing a game, the Xbox. I was here alone. April was at work. It was late at night, and I had all the lights off in the house, and I was playing in the living room, sitting on the couch, and I was playing this motorcycle game on the Xbox One, and then I was losing. I was getting so fucking mad. Then this like shadow person walked right in front of me, and I didn't even get scared. And I wasn't imagining it. I swear it was a shadow person. I don't do drugs either, so. And then I was like, if you're gonna fuck with me, at least let me win. And the next match I won. So I don't know. And his name is Bill. But when I first got the digital voice recorder over there, me and April were downstairs messing around, and I was like, the kids said they got a Ouija board up here one time, which I threw away once I found, and then they said his name was Bill and all that. So I was on the digital voice recorder, and I'll play it on here when I do the video. I'll just play it in the clip. But I was like, Bill, if you can hear me, and then I turned it to April, then I turned it back, and I said one last time, Bill, if this is that your name? And then you can hear something say, yeah. I mean, it very possibly could have been like something going against my shirt or something, but to me, it sounds like it says yeah.
See, I don't personally have too much encounters with any ghosts or demons growing up. I haven't really had anything. My grandma said that she played with a Ouija board growing up, but I've never seen one like in person. I've never seen them work, so I don't actually get how they work.
I mean, you kind of just ask questions and everybody puts their hand on the board. I actually went to the Winchester house, like in
In
California.
California? Really? Sweet.
And that's really cool. It's just a huge house. I figured it would be a little more spooky than it was. She did build a lot of crazy rooms. So it was really cool. She's like all of 4'3". It's really weird because she has these little tiny corridors that only she could walk through. And then her stairs are about 3 inches high instead of the standard 8 inch. So it's really cool just seeing that in person. I thought that it would be a little more creepy, but it wasn't.
Have you ever seen that movie, The Winchester House?
Yeah.
It just came out not too long ago. I thought it was pretty good. The ending was real good, but another like encounter I had, it wasn't really like a ghost encounter or anything, but like I'm real big into conspiracy theories, things like that, so I might talk about it sometime, but I'm not saying this is what our show is going to be about, but when I was little, we were in first grade and our house burned down, and we lived in Chickasha, outside of Chickasha really, but then we moved to Wilburton because my dad got a job at Franklin Electric there, and we lived in this house. And me and my brother shared a room. My sister's room was across the hall. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and there was this little green guy standing there. And I swear I wasn't dreaming. I very possibly could have been. No, it was like he looked kind of like an alien looks on TV, but I mean he was probably only like 2 foot tall. And I remember I was just screaming, and like my dad ran in there and turned on the light. And I made him sleep with me that night. So
Yeah.
scared.
I don't know. Kids dream up some weird things. Like when I was a kid, me and my sisters used to have a bunk bed, and like I had the bottom bunk, and one of my sisters had the top bunk. Then her oldest sister had another room, but she would always sleep in our same room. So we're all laying there one night. I'm like fast asleep, and my sister just starts screaming, and she claims she saw like a skeleton on the wall. And then she said she screamed and screamed and screamed, and then when my dad came in, turned on the light, it was gone. So, I don't know. I think we kind of grow out of those things eventually, but they could be just little anomalies that we see, or we might still be dreaming.
Could be. Have you ever seen the Conjuring movie? I think you've never seen The Conjuring. Like The
Not all of it.
Conjuring 2 was alright, but the first Conjuring I thought was good. Like rarely any movie like scares me, but there was one part in there to where like something scares her, and it actually gave me a little jump scare. But anyway, that's one of the best scary movies I've seen in a long time, other than like Amityville, the original one.
I liked Annabelle.
Annabelle, I thought was so
Nah.
stupid.
Yeah, Annabelle's dumb. It's one of those. I'm kind of
Yes.
getting tired of the whole ghost thing, like
Yes.
haunting an object and just
Yes.
jump scaring you all the time. I'm pretty excited to see it though, part 2.
That came out today.
Well, see, when I was a kid, I'm what double y'all's age,
Mm-hmm.
so we had the original It, and it was just so long before. I mean, it was a little scary, but I really wasn't that scared by
Wasn't
it.
it a TV series back then? It wasn't a movie. It was like 2
No, it
TV
was in
shows.
movies. It could have been, regardless. I know there's 2 parts: one where they're kids,
Yeah.
one where they're adults.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me and April went to the Warren and saw the new one, and then the other one comes out. What is today?
It comes
It
out
came out
today.
today.
Oh yeah, comes out today.
We're probably gonna go see it this weekend.
Yeah.
You know?
Probably
Just,
Sunday night.
I don't
Uh,
know.
Things are just so much different in our generation to yours, to where like the internet didn't come out till the year I graduated high school. I mean, it was out, but
Whoa, are you
I mean-
assuming my generation?
yes,
This is 2019.
yes, I am. I am much older than you.
I don't appreciate
Yes.
this.
I remember in 1997, that was the year I went to basic training, and then we come back and my friend got a computer, and then we had the dial-up internet then, and remember we used to get on chat rooms. That's all there was to do then.
So wait, explain to me how dial-up internet worked.
You had a little modem in the back of the computer, and you had to have a separate. Well, you didn't have to have a separate phone line, but it was recommended you did because if you were on the internet, it would just knock you off.
Mhm.
But you had a second one in, and you get on the computer, and like what? Regardless, I can't remember what mine was called, but I know there was like AOL, whatever, and then you go on the button to say connect to AOL, and you click on it, and it's like it makes this weird sound for like 10 seconds, and little deal says connecting, and you only connected to like at 5 kilobytes a second. Nothing.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I know. You couldn't.
I mean, yeah, I think a lot has changed over time.
So
in
like,
generations.
I have a friend who used to be on dial-up internet, and like the way he would hook up with people or like just online date, he would go on AOL like chat messenger,
Mm-hmm.
and like he would find random people, and one of the biggest things was like ASL, age, sex, and location. So that would be how you figure out things really quickly. But he always said it was really funny because like somebody would send a picture through, and it would like load line by line, just
Mhm.
all the way down the screen.
Take like 10 minutes to load like a little bitty picture. It's
Yep.
nothing like it is today. And back then we only had like 3 channels.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't do any of those chat rooms. Last time I was in a chat room, all I got was dicks just thrown in my face.
Did you like it?
Possibly.
Okay.
I mean, as long as you enjoy it.
No, I didn't. But I just stay off these chat channels now, you know?
So you were in the Navy.
I
Tell
was
us
in the
about your
Navy.
Navy experience, Dylan.
Alright, so speaking of my Navy times, you know, I wasn't very good in high school. Let's be honest. Borderline retarded. Not really retarded, you know, just kind of lazy. I got tired of it. You know, I thought personally that high school was dumb.
Where'd you go to high school?
Mustang High School in
Staying
Oklahoma.
in Oklahoma.
I did, and spoke to the counselor, and the counselor was like, "You're probably not going to get many scholarships." And I personally, I asked her, I was like, "A lot of these kids who are getting straight A's aren't going to get scholarships either, because they're only going to take like the top 10." So I think at that moment I realized that I was going to go into the military, and if I was going to go into the military, I was going to do something awesome and intense. So I joined up to be a Navy SEAL. So called my dad, who was a chief in the Navy. About 20 years. He retired out when I was first grade-ish.
What rank is that?
That is,
Chief? Is that like an E5, E6?
it's an E7.
E7?
E7 in the Navy. And I told him, I was like, I'm either going to join the Marines and try to go MARSOC or Sniper, or...
What's MARSOC?
I'm not really sure what it stands for. I didn't join the Marines, so... Anyway, and my dad was like, you need to join the Navy. The comfort, the living styles are a lot better than Marines. And I fully understand that.
You got to respect anybody who joins the service in today's military.
Yeah.
Knowing what you got to go through, you're probably going to go to war.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it takes a special kind of person. And I respect everyone that's done it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I didn't go in with Dylan. I mean, we were supposed to do that buddy system. We were supposed to go in together, and I went all the way up to where like we were going to go to MEPS, and I told my recruiter, well, you can't guarantee me a place where I want to be, and I really want to be in like the nursing field, in the medical field. So since you can't guarantee me these things, That's why I don't want to go and maybe waste 4 years doing that rather than pursuing just the nursing degree.
And just so you know, we're all in the medical field at a local
Yeah.
hospital here in Oklahoma City.
Yep.
We are.
So, what about your Navy SEAL training?
So I made it out to Bud's Coronado, made it to the training, and I decided to leave due to a ex-wife. Decided
Do
to,
that to you.
yeah, kind of. I regret it, but I have my beautiful daughter out of it, so I can't regret it too much.
Did you ring the little bell they show on TV all the time?
I did. That bell definitely exists, and they have a bell person who polishes it. Oh man, Bud's is amazing though, and let me tell you, it's one of the hardest things someone could possibly do in their lives. One of the greatest experiences of my life.
I would have rang that fucking bell as soon as I showed up. And I'm like, screw this. No,
It's-
thank you. I was always kind of a max to minimum kind of person. I just did my time and wanted to get out.
Well, see, when I wanted to go in, I wanted to do something above the standard. I didn't want to just be known as the typical soldier that went in. I wanted to be the guy behind doing all the recon and then going in and actually securing and doing whatever had to be done. But that didn't happen, so I became an engineman. One of the worst jobs ever in the Navy, folks. Don't ever be an engineer in the Navy.
So were you on a ship or on a submarine?
I was on a ship, thank God.
Where all have you been?
I've been over pretty much everywhere overseas
That's a lot of places.
Yeah.
more on the Pacific side. I would
So,
say
like,
more Asian style.
Australia, Japan, Philippines.
What was your favorite place?
I'm going to say the Philippines
Why was it your
because
favorite?
it is dirt cheap over there. Dirt cheap. I got a pizza probably the size of this table for 4 friends and drinks and everything for about $5 American. And I also paid a guy to drive us around in a cab for the week for $10 American. But
So did you like your experience?
I personally had more of a rougher experience, I think. I was going through a divorce mainly the whole time I was overseas. Plus, when you're overseas and you don't have your family with you, it can be very stressful. And I think there's a lot of rules going on right now because, personally, I think the military has become more of a politician style over from what it used to be. Back in your time is definitely different
Hey, no.
from what I am.
Listen, I
So-
feel like I was born in the wrong era. I wish I was born in like the 50s, 60s.
And there's no offense to that, but it is true. I think the military in the last 10 years has changed drastically.
Well, yeah, y'all have stress cards and everything else now. We don't have that crap.
Yeah, trust me, I don't enjoy any of that.
So what years were you in?
From 2015 to 2019.
2015. Man. You just got out not too long ago.
Yeah, I did.
When did you get out?
January 26th, earlier this year.
Would you do it again?
I would possibly do it again if I went to the Air Force, I think. I think if I had to go back, it would be the Air Force.
I would go to the Air Force too if I could go back.
I think the Air Force is a solid branch and they get made fun of, but they have a lot
They get
of
all
comfort care.
Yes, they do. Get to stay in hotels and everything. Oh. My experience was a little different. See, when I was in high school, I was like a OSU honor scholar, a national merit person, whatever. Of course, I went to Verdon, Oklahoma. We graduated with 23 in my class. I don't know how many was in y'all's.
918.
Yeah, well, my whole high school, 9th through 12th, had 107 kids. But anyway, my mom just put this idea in my head to join the Army. So I did, like an idiot. And then I joined in November 6, 1996. Yep, I went to basic I was supposed to go to Fort Sill, but then I went to MEPS because I was going to do 13 mic, which is MLRS. So I went to MEPS and we did my physical and I was doing my eye test and they're like, you're colorblind, you can't do MLRS. So they made me go to 31 Charlie, which is single channel radio operator. The guy with the radio on his back that always gets killed first in the movies. That's a 31 Charlie. So I was like, all right. So I did that. And then went to basic at Fort Jackson. What did I go? June 3rd, 1997? Yeah. Then I went to Fort Gordon for AIT for 31 Charlie. And I got back in October that year. I got back to my unit I was in, and they're like, there are ways around the military. So they sent me to on-the-job training for 13 Mike. And then I just went to 13 Mike school for summer camp. And then I was 13 Mike. So even though I was colorblind and had to go through all that BS, I still went to 13 Mike school in the end, and it was 13 Mike.
You gotta love the military for the amount of
Yes, I did.
stuff they put you through. I don't know how many times I've seen people flip rocks to make sure they're properly tanned, or sweep water in the middle of the rain off of a warship.
When we were in AIT, we were graduating. We were in Class A's. That's like your whole dress uniform. And my AIT class probably had 10 people in it. And there was a friend of mine, his name was Ludwig, and we had this joke about a starfish all the way through AIT, and it was about someone's asshole.
The chocolate starfish.
Yeah, I can't remember what the joke was, but that's what it was. And then we were in our graduation. We were just in a room like this size, and a female sergeant was up there giving our speech, and then she said something about a starfish, and then Ludwig starts like giggling, and like it makes everybody laugh. And then our drill sergeant, he looked just like Major Payne. I swear, if you've ever seen the movie, that was him. His name was Drill Sergeant Martin. And then he like stopped our graduation, made us go outside, and like we were all in Class A's, and he made us dig up the volleyball court for like hours in Class A's. And we did this for like hours. Then we got released to go back to our barracks, and we were all graduating anyway. Then the next day they called us all out in formation, and the people, he was like, who was laughing, and blah, blah, blah. And I can't even remember what happened, but in the end we all got to go home. But yeah, that was horrible. It was so hot out there in Class A's, digging up that stupid volleyball court.
Yep. Pretty close story. Out at Buds, it's pretty much the first portion of Buds is pretty much just getting you to quit. Whatever they can do, whether it's lack of sleep, cold, food, whatever. But we were standing in formation for our first uniform inspection. Dress whites, which I don't know your guys' dress uniforms too well, but our dress whites they're crisp white. They cost about $150 to $200 for everything.
Which when you're in the enlisted person, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was probably back then as an E1, E2 was half my check. So we're standing in line. You got 200 people in line because that's how the size of our class was, and we had a chief walking down, just pulling people randomly, and he didn't like the way one kid just was looking out at nothing and just staring, but he didn't like the way he was looking, so he told him to go jump in the surf.
In your dress whites?
Dress whites. Sent him right into the ocean, head down, right into the water.
That's awesome. Yeah, the Air Force, I don't, like, when I was in, I know the Air Force Basic was only 6 weeks, I believe, where ours was 8 weeks. Plus, you're in reception for like a week of that, so it doesn't even count. You got to wait in the reception battalion, and they'll like give you a Coke, and they would back then give you Coke and whatever, cake, while you're waiting on a class to open up for somebody to graduate. Then you go to basic, then your time starts. And I remember, like, we didn't have cell phones back then. There was no cell phones, nothing. We actually had to write letters, and that was the best part of the day. Was mail call at the end of the day. And I remember, God, it was just awesome getting a letter. It didn't matter who it was from. It could have been from somebody in wherever, it was just awesome getting a letter. That was like your only contact you had with anybody. Yeah, we got to make phone calls on Sundays, Monday or Sunday mornings when we got up, because we didn't have PT or any training that day. It was kind of do your own, do laundry, whatever.
When Dylan first went in, when he was there, he was writing me letters, and we wrote back and forth for a few weeks until he got his phone privileges back. So
Phone privileges back.
Oh, so no, we didn't go in with our phones. The first day you get there, they take everything from you. They strip you down butt-ass naked, and then they send you into a room, and you put on white underwear.
Amnesty room.
They do everything. They make fun of your tattoos and everything if you have any. Put you in white underwear, sweats, and then they proceed to scream at you for every little thing you do.
Did y'all get the shots like cattle? Like you just line up in this line, and they have air guns. That's how they give your shots. And people would just line up, and you start walking. There'd be people on each side just boom, 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 giving you shots.
So it was a little different for us. So they get like a group of 7 to 10 of us, and they put us in front of a cot, almost like this table. And they would have us put our elbows on the table, forearms down, and then pull our pants down, ass out. And then these E1, E2 corpsmen, who probably graduated like 2 weeks before us, take a needle and just slam it in your ass cheek.
Yeah, this has been the penicillin. And then I've been dealing, like the last year, I've been dealing with like disability for the Army. It's like this big process. And I go to a place called Dale K. Graham. If you're a veteran, and if you've been through any kind of basic training, as long as you graduated, you're considered a veteran before, even if you didn't go to war. But like I've been trying to go to them, and like I said, there's a place called Dale K. Graham in Norman. It's like this lawyer guy, but they have this whole staff of volunteers, and they help you get all this going and do all your paperwork for you. And it's like this huge process, but I mean, it's worth it in the end. It may take a few years to get it done, but like the money you get is like tax free, and that's just extra money too. And you know how taxes are; they really rape you on that stuff.
Yeah. I feel like taxes are theft. Like taxation is theft, 100%. But I do feel that taxes are necessary to keep up with the world. Like we have to pay for our schools, pay for our roads, and I feel like our tax system right now is just really broken. So like I feel like the more money you make, the more time you spend in school, the more they're going to tax you. So I just don't feel that it's fair. I feel like the way we should do our taxes is kind of like a flat tax. So let's say everybody paid 23%. The millionaire paying 23% is still paying more than the college kid who pays 23%. It's just a fair way to do it.
I agree with that, but you know, like I could be wrong on this, so don't quote me. I heard something like if you make there's a cutoff. It's like the $1 million a year. You could make $1 million a year or $20 million a year. The $1 million a year has so much they pay in tax, and then the $20 million a year pays that same deal because the million is the cutoff. Mm-hmm. So if you make $20 million or $1 million, you're still paying the same thing. I definitely could be wrong about that, so don't quote me.
Okay.
But I think that's very unfair. I think you should go by your deal. I agree with the flat tax too, but what are you going to do about the people that don't pay taxes at all?
Well, I mean, it's part of our society that we have to pay taxes. I feel like they should be required to pay their taxes, and there should be a penalty if you don't, because you're contributing to the U.S. I feel like that's the biggest part of taxes, is just everybody contributing a certain percentage. But in that same vein, I feel like we should be able to pick where our taxes go. Let's say I want all mine to go to schooling.
What if everybody picked all schooling?
See,
that would work.
They should have a max to where they can only accept that much, and then that gets transferred over.
Take what they want, and they're going to put it where they want.
Yeah.
That's the problem here. Like they're doing construction on the interstate for years in the same spot.
Yep.
Hurry your asses up! It doesn't take that long to fix a freaking pothole.
That's true.
Goodness, and then they go to like 20 different spots for like 5 miles, and then it shuts down the interstate and everything else. Man, that's irritating to me.
Mm-hmm. With the whole thing about the millionaires also making this so much money, I feel like we do overpay a lot of people in the world. I feel like athletes, they could deal with a few 100,000 rather than a few 100 million. I feel like we're inflating our own money by doing that.
Well, that's just because the lifestyle people perceive them to have, and people are willing to pay that to watch them have it. Could you imagine, like, being a rock star? Could you, like, people treat you like a god? You know how awesome that would be? I mean, it would get old after, like, a week to me, but still, just to have it, like, a week.
I think a lot of that money doesn't just come from, like, the government paying for it. A lot of it's own private-owned companies that get different money and sponsorships, and that's where a lot of that money comes from towards those players.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, the top-tier positions, like, in current world are doctors and lawyers, and they roughly make 6 figures, so let's say 300,000. That's the average for your doctor and lawyer.
I think you're being generous for them. Maybe a specialist, like a hospitalist, only makes about 225, 250 probably.
Okay. But those are still major jobs that require a lot of input and a lot of time. And then I can dribble a ball well, and I can hit a ball really far, so I deserve $100 million. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Do you think everybody can go dribble a ball like that?
No.
No. Do you think
I know it takes dedication.
How much do you think they practice to be able to make, 53s in a row? How much time do you think is practiced?
Well, I'm not going against any of the time practiced or any effort put into it, but I do believe there should be a line, a cutoff, because if we do have people out here saving lives, whether it's with a rifle or a medical procedure getting paid a 200,000 versus someone who did dribble a ball making 100 millions. I'm totally fair with a $2 million contract, a $4 million contract a year. You're still making more than the average person, and you can still live a strong lifestyle. But I think we need to pull back some of that money and put it other places.
And I think like a history teacher worded it to me this way. It's like we pay our entertainment a lot and they keep us busy. That way, if we're busy, we can't be out doing other things. Like I've heard that it stops and lowers crime rates when we're more entertained. So like throughout the NFL season, crime rates will drop a little bit because people are doing and watching other things rather than spending their time elsewhere.
I can see that because football is like the only sport I can stand to watch. But do you think like LeBron James, take for instance, or Michael Jordan, doesn't deserve money for his talents?
Well, yeah, but he also gets all the endorsements and everything that he builds by himself. He made his own, like, take Michael Jordan. He made his own brand, and everybody loves him for that. So that's where he's getting a majority of his money. And I 100% support that. I feel like if you've made yourself into that name, you can make all that money. Although I don't like the Kardashians, they've done something right to where their name is just so popular that they just make so much money.
Well, I think with them, it's the instances, every single one of them is a creator of some sort of brand. And once so many people in the family line are creators, it's very easy to get another business started within the family because you have people with previous experience and previous motives. I'm fully for these people making money. I just think there needs to be a limit to some of this money. If it's a personal brand or personal business that you've owned, there's no limit. But for a certain talent, like talents can only go so far. Because you look at your average athlete and their talents go away after about 10 years. If they're lucky, if they don't get injured. I don't think we should be paying them in those 10 years millions and millions of dollars. I believe $1 million is still more, way more than the average person.
But that's how society wants to see them as millionaires. They want to see their big house and their Lamborghinis and their Ferraris and everything like that. And you were talking about the Kardashians. I don't watch it, but my wife does. Mm-hmm. And that what's her name? Kylie, whatever.
Yeah.
She's like a billionaire. Mm-hmm. One of the youngest billionaires ever, self-made, from makeup and whatever else she does. It's like unbelievable.
And it came about because her family is so popular and she was able to get her name out there. So I feel like people enjoy watching things that they can like relate with. So with the makeup thing, they kind of feed on that and they feel like they are part of that because they're watching them. So pulling back to the military, I feel like we should pull back our forces to where we control our own borders, and I feel like we could put all our ships around the west and east coast, and I feel like they could be there, and we could pull our military back, and they could actually help with certain things like building roads or building schools and building up our society in a whole, rather than going to another country and building them up. I feel like if we spend our resources wisely, we could make our country the greatest again. I know it's a great country to live in, but there's a lot of places we lack in.
I agree with that, but that's everywhere too. And like, I think we should stop policing the whole world. That's what I think. We're spread ourselves way too thin. But like, everyone talks about free health care and the taxes you got to pay. And somebody did a study, I believe, and it was like so many $1 billion. You know how many billions of dollars we give away to other countries every year? I mean, we could make it work.
Yeah.
Without raising taxes or anything. They just don't want to because the government gets so much money from the insurance companies and from the pharmaceutical companies. That's why medical marijuana was this huge deal. You know how much money the pharmaceutical companies are losing because of that? Mm-hmm. And like, I don't do drugs. I don't condone them, illegal drugs, whatever. But you know, if they made drugs legal, like in Amsterdam, for instance, you know, like their crime rate would probably drop and everything, and they have like safe places to do drugs, whether it's whatever it is your poison is, you know, cocaine, heroin, whatever. Mm-hmm. Plus, you know, there's people dying in the other country right beside us because of drugs. Mm-hmm. You know, legalize some of this crap. You're never going to win a war on drugs. It will never be won. It's like being able to win a war in Iraq. You can't do it. Can't win that war because you're not fighting a country. You're fighting all these insurgents that are just going to keep coming. You can't beat them all.
Yeah.
So you might as well. Everybody's going to do it regardless. You can't stop it. All these prisons are overpopulated because they're all privatized here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of them are privatized.
They make a lot of money through that.
Yes, they do. And that's the reason a lot of people are in jail.
We pay more money towards our inmate than we do on our local school system.
And that's not surprising at all. Just like if you're in prison, you get meals, you get a roof over your head, everything else. But we have vets out there that are homeless, kids that are homeless. That shouldn't be happening.
There's kids out there that don't get to eat lunch when we could be providing lunches for them rather than people who've done bad in their life. Although I do feel like we need to have a system like that. I feel like our system's a little too harsh on people. I feel like our sentences could be really shortened because if you think about it, a few years of your life is pretty crazy. And the aftermath of their prison life is also terrible. So I feel like when people do their time, it should just be left at that. I don't feel like you should have to put that you were a convicted felon or anything like that on like a job application because it really hinders people in that way. So I feel like if we did things like that in a society, it would just help us immensely. Like we would have a bunch of different trying to think of the word. A bunch of different opportunities for people in that situation.
I also don't believe in life sentences. I think if you're stuck in there for life,
then you should be ended. I don't know.
I don't know a good way of saying that
yeah.
through a podcast, but I mean, I believe we're wasting so much money on these convicted felons who were there for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. And if you're going to take away the life sentence, it should be a very concrete thing to where you're like, you killed somebody. We know you killed them. There's all this evidence. You're the one who did it. I think that like that should be like eye for an eye kind of thing. Like I think we should go back to euthanization and firing squads and stuff like that.
I was waiting for y'all to finish talking. That's exactly what I was going to say. I do agree we should do away with life sentences, and I do agree with if you do your jail time, you should get away. You shouldn't have to put your convicted felon, unless you're like a rapist or a murderer. I mean, if there's sufficient evidence to prove that you did it, we should just kill you. And then have it over with. Just like these school shooters. That one kid shot up that school in Florida and come out and gave up. No, sir. We should have hung a fucking noose up right there and hung him right in the middle of the street and not allowed anybody to touch him and let the birds eat him.
Yeah.
I mean, just to make an example, these people do this because they know they're going to get out and they will go to jail for life and probably not get the death
I
penalty.
had this exact conversation with someone. They do it because they know they can get away with it in the end. They know nothing bad is going to happen to them.
Yeah. And I know it sounds kind of like sadistic. Like we don't want people to go through pain, but if you're causing that pain, it should be reinflicted to you. I think that you shouldn't be able to get a clean sweep. Nothing bad should happen to you for the rest of your life besides you're wasting your time in a prison. I feel like public hangings would do very well in today's society. I feel
think
like
in Idaho, I believe, they're still hanging legal. Don't quote me on that, but I believe in one state, hanging is still legal.
I know it's kind of inhumane, but I feel like it also produces that little bit of scare tactic. Like, don't do these things, otherwise this was going to happen to you.
Exactly.
And make it public.
The punishment must fit the crime, exactly. And like, you're going to go to jail. That's it. And then they protect them. They put them in like solitary isolation, just like that one guy. He run that sex ring, and then they put him in jail with this. Did you see the guy they put him in there with?
No.
This guy was like massive bodybuilder, and they're like, he committed suicide. Hey, guy didn't commit suicide. Somebody killed him. Give me a break.
That's true.
And they feed us this crap all the time because they know people aren't going to question it, and they're just going to believe everything they're told.
Yeah.
Which is irritating.
I feel like if people were actually visualizing what happens to people, I feel like that would be a very good deterrent. I feel like when you see somebody dying like that because of their crime, it really instills something in you, and you're just like, well, I'm not going to do that. Even if I may have the thought, it's like, that's enough of a deterrent. I'm not going to do it.
I agree with that. I think we should definitely have harsher punishments. Or less of a punishment, like I mean, there's different kinds of murder. There's like a first degree, which is premeditated. There's like involuntary manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, murder's murder, but sometimes shit happens.
Yeah.
You know, if my brakes go out of my car and I hit somebody, whatever, that's really not my fault.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry.
It can really ruin lives.
It can, and you know, can you imagine what that would do to like you if
it mentally messes with your
killed
head.
a kid or killed anybody, but
Yeah.
like a kid, in my case, I think that would really mess me up. It would mess me up to kill anybody if I had to, but especially if I killed a kid on accident, man, that would like totally mess me up. And then they're like, "Oh, you got to go to jail. You killed somebody, even though you had no control over the situation and everything else."
So not only is your brain ruined, but your life all around is ruined because you've been to jail. You're now a convicted felon. And how do you explain that to the next employer?
Yeah, then when you're in jail, you're probably getting raped every day and whatever else by Bubba or whoever else.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I would like go do something. As soon as I got in there, I would go do something just so they would throw me in solitary confinement. Can you imagine what somebody would do to me with my mouth and my attitude in there? I'd be somebody's bitch every day.
I think you could hold your own.
Not when there's like 50 people.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just it. Just like when I was young, you know, you could get in fights and everything. Now, everybody either has a gun, a knife, or they know this MMA, whatever. You don't want to mess with anybody. You never know what anybody's got or what they know.
Yep.
I mean, now everybody and their dog know MMA, and you just get your ass kicked in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Choke you out, you know, and sometimes shit happens.
Yeah. So what do you think about the law that's going into effect November 1st with the open carry for everybody?
Well, there's some
Permitless
places.
carry.
There's some places that are still like saying you can't open carry. They're like Walmart, and them come out to where they're not going to sell handgun ammunition and all that now.
Yeah.
And they're saying you can't open carry in their store. Didn't somebody just get killed in a Walmart not too long ago by a guy, and people with private citizens with guns are the ones that stopped him?
And subdued them. Mm-hmm.
I mean, duh.
Yeah.
I mean, good. It'll be a deterrent to people. You know, if everybody in there's got a gun and you come in and you think, I think I may want to shoot somebody, but every motherfucker in here has a gun, I may not want to do that. I'm going to die.
Yep.
I'm not going to get to go to jail for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I think
It's going to be an interesting topic, I think. I think we're going to have to play it out and see what happens.
Yeah. I feel like the topic's gone on for such a long time, and I don't feel that everybody should be able to carry a gun. I do feel like there should be stricter enforcements on how to get a gun. Like, I feel like I would qualify no matter how strict they made it. I'm not a bad person or a bad citizen, but I don't feel like we should have our guns taken away, because when a government turns on you and they take away all your weapons, then they have full control over you, and you have no way to retaliate. If they want to completely take away all your rights, there's no way to come back from it, and that's why we had the Constitution. That's why we have the Second Amendment right.
Yeah, that's what Hitler did to people and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe. Don't quote me, like I said. But, I mean, people don't pay attention to history.
Nope.
They just let it keep going and going, and they don't learn a lesson.
Yeah.
That's why it keeps happening.
And I do feel that sometimes we do have too much firepower. I feel like if there was a limit to how much of somebody could have, but then you have to also think about, like, the government has these weapons, so why are we not allowed to have those same weapons?
Exactly. They take away my rifle, whatever, but they come at me with an Apache helicopter, you know? My rifle's not going to do a lot of good.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
So, although I do think that we should limit our firepower, I don't feel that we'd be safe against our government if we didn't have that firepower.
I agree, but I just don't understand, like, the whole assault rifle talk and blah, blah, blah. Every time someone gets killed with a gun, they're like, you did ban guns. No, that is a horrible idea. People need guns. There are people that actually follow the law and everything that use guns to hunt and just recreational shoot that are not harming anyone.
Yeah.
The criminals are still going to get guns, just like drugs are banned. Duh. Do people get drugs? Yeah. The same way it's going to be with guns.
And people don't think about it, but although you can't buy a gun, as long as you can buy the ammunition, people make things that are gun-like. They've got just a barrel with a hammer on the back of it, and that's a weapon enough. So you can make these weapons, so it doesn't matter if they're taken away or anything. We're just going to make them.
If you want a gun bad enough, you can get a gun.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you go to the store, you can buy one off arms list, whatever, on the internet. There, you can get a gun if you want one. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be 5 years old and get a gun if you had the money.
Yep. So one thing I disagree with is like when you resell a gun. Let's say I've got a gun that I bought. I got background checked for it, and then Dylan, I want to sell it to Dylan the next day. I could just sell it to him with no background check or anything. I just sell it and have a bill of sale. So I don't think that that is safe. I feel like that as long as like gun trades can go back and forth between people, I feel like that's a big issue as well.
Yeah, but if the government goes sticking their hand in that, they're going to like make you pay taxes on it and everything else. When just like they did on internet purchases and everything, they're just going to get their hand in there, and anything you're selling, they're going to take what they want out of it.
Well, I mean, they could do it in a way to where like you have to go to a gun broker to sell your gun, and the person you're selling it to would have to file all the paperwork and have the same background check. And let's say they charged $5. It's not anything that's going to break the bank, but it's something that they're getting paid for that service. So it's a gun broker already. They already have the business that they just have to add in something else.
I think they're actually doing that in some spots. I know, like, I've been to a gun store before, and they're like armsless certified dealer and all this stuff. I think they're actually doing some of that.
Yeah.
Which I agree. You know, I've had guns that I've sold to people, and I've always asked them, you know, without doing background checks. I was like, "You're not a convicted felon." I realized they could just lie to me. I was like, "You're 21, blah blah blah," and I had them sign a little piece of paper.
Yeah.
Just something to cover me.
Yeah, saying
just
that you
in
don't
case.
own this firearm
Yes.
anymore. If anything happens
Exactly.
with it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that makes sense. You know, add like a middleman to the whole thing. You bring a gun to them, and then they background check the person you're selling to, and as long as they come out clear, it goes right to them.
Yeah. Like, I just feel that there needs to be a little bit more there. But I feel like it should still be able to happen.
I agree. Guys, I think that's going to about do it for this episode today. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to all our stuff, and we appreciate it. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yep.